What is up, everybody? Welcome to the feast, episode 70. Show you submit replays, we cast them. I am Delthius. How's it going, guys? I'm doing pretty well. Can't complain, can't complain. Not a whole lot to say today. I'm still gonna try to get those WOOFCOINs going over the weekend. I think WOOFCOIN's the winner, man. In all caps, you know what I'm saying? Let me check how everything is real quick. Everything looks pretty good. And yeah, without any further ado, I suppose let us just hop right into it. Match number 1 here. Alright, spawning in the bottom, we've got Vincent. And his opponent up top, Bratmo. Okay. So pretty cool deck from Vincent here. All the tier 1 plus an Artie cannon. Looking forward to this. And Bratmo's playing a little more what's to be expected, I feel like. You know, nothing super crazy about Bratmo's deck. The snakes are getting stronger. We see them play in the meta more often. They're not really getting stronger. I guess that's a bad way to put it because they haven't changed. But people are starting to realize, like, hey, you can really utilize Snake Micro in the early game to gain value, similar to something like a Ferret, and then later on they're very good at single target damage against key units like tier 2 and tier 3. So Vincent with a little bit of mole shenanigans here. Let's see, Bratmo does see it, and he's got turrets, and he's got a nice little 1 entry here, so yeah, a single turret, he'll probably be okay, but the turret's a little bit late. The mole's gonna get in, and actually, you know, that's 40 food right there that that Vincent just gained, and his economy is really not any worse off because of it compared to Bratmo. So overall, nice little victory there in the early game for Vincent, and nothing super major, but it definitely can make a difference, especially if players are very evenly matched. You know, just having that extra few bucks to make a couple extra squirrels in a clutch moment could be huge. Vincent's gonna keep this mole aggression going, and even throwing down toads to back this up immediately, which is pretty crazy. Bratmo gets back in time to sell off that farm, but bleeds off another 20 food. So that's about a 60 food net gain here for Vincent, and I think he wants to keep this aggression up, man. He's not selling these moles. He's taking this gristmill mainly to be able to heal his units, but also, hell, I mean, if he saves up for it, which it looks like he is. Oh, man, I was getting hyped. I thought he was going to wait and try to throw down an artillery cannon right there. That would be so sick. Oh, he's got a lot of money. He's using it on moles, which is probably the better play, and even throws down a pigeon warren. Maybe going to wait until these moles are back up, but Bratmo definitely knows what's coming. I mean, he's scouted the gristmill, he scouted the proxy warrens, so he knows Vincent is very all in with this play, and he's getting ferrets, which, you know, ferrets are gonna do very well here if he can manage to hang on, right? Like, the problem with ferrets in this situation is that they're not gonna contribute an insane amount compared to other tier 2s in the direct engagement, but if Bratmo can somehow hold on, maybe with a turret or two, and deflect the initial push out from Vincent, he can really punish Vincent's proxy warrens and whatnot with that constant ferret fire from a nice little high ground here. So yeah, this is pretty clutch, man. We're just gonna have to see. It's hard to say. It's gonna be a hard hold from Bratmo, but he's got skunks on the way, which will help. But you know, if we get some good toad engagements here, it's really gonna depend on the angle that Vincent comes in on. You know, he needs his moles up front, you know, followed by the toads, and he needs some really good toad connections here. And the ferret shelling's underway. Now, one thing you can do with ferrets, yeah, if you get that range on the warren and try to hold your fire until the ferret targets that warren, you can really keep that constant damage going and prevent your opponent from kind of dancing around and your ferret, you know, missing shots. Oh, there's the artillery cannon. And Vincent was trying to wait until Bratmo stepped out a little bit. Bratmo retreats, but Vincent goes for it anyways. Gets up on the high ground, knocks out the turret, knocks out a tier 2, and backs up for the time being. Oh, man. Does Bratmo not know? Bratmo's seen the cannon. Man, those ferrets could shell that cannon down. Oh, my God. If this cannon gets up. Like, if Bratmo realizes it or remembers it and gets this cannon knocked out, then I think he's in okay shape. But if this artillery cannon manages to get up, like, Vincent's got pigeons for the high ground. He's got his commander that can run up there you know, as long as you're careful and don't lose them. Oh my god, you guys. Oh! Vincent's starting to prioritize it now. But it's a little too late. The artillery cannon is up. It's going to add a lot of extra DPS into this engagement here for Vincent. That's crazy. Oh! That cannon is still there. But Bratmo's trying to push out, man. He kind of won the fight, but the question is he going to win the war? He's really got to knock out this artillery cannon. Although it hasn't been, you know, completely wrecking him. Yeah, Vincent's trying to get up here, get some high ground vision. But Bratmo's pushing him out, man. He didn't fare too poorly in that last engagement. He kept his tier 2 alive, which is a really big, important piece here. And now with all these skunks, they're going to do very good against all this tier 1. Finally, Bratmo has an opportunity to target down that artillery cannon. But the artillery cannon definitely got some damage done. Not sure if it got 180 worth of damage, but who knows. Oh man, is Bratmo gonna do it? He's almost out of economy here. He lost a couple farms throughout all these skirmishes. And we're just kind of getting to that point in the game where farms are starting to mine out. We're almost at the 6-minute mark here. Alright, what's the next move, Vincent? Nobody's got an economy anymore. We're down to really scrappy units. I think Bratmo should probably sell off one of his tier 2 Warrens at this point. This is where every single unit counts, man. Yeah, Bratmo's got to sell something. Decides to go down on the skunks, but he's really got to sell more than this. Okay, he's gonna try to end the game with what he's got, is what I think here. Because he's just making that one farm, you know, so he can stay in it. And Vincent did take the space over to the side, but Vincent should know he's under attack now. But Vincent is trying to gear up for the Lizard base race, but there's no way for him to get out of the base right there. Vincent can try to swing around the side, though, and perhaps get up there. I think that is the right play in this situation, as Bratmo's army should definitely win this fight. You know, tier 2 is very strong, and Bratmo's got quite a bit of it here. Oh, Vincent. Can Vincent get up right here? Oh, he can get up right there. The tree was blocking it. Oh, my God. Okay, let's see it, man. Bratmo's tried to target fire down that gristmill, but Vincent's got the other gristmill over there in the 9 o'clock. This is all Bratmo has. Bratmo doesn't even have money to try to put something down. Not like he'd get up in time anyways. And Vincent takes the match. That was a pretty good one, man. I'm never disappointed with Vincent versus Bratmo games, man. What's up, everybody in the chat? Good to see you guys. Ghost, I have a question for you. Have you ever heard of necrophagists? You might enjoy them. You probably have, but if you haven't, they're amazing. Match number 2, guys. Spawning in the bottom left, we've got Big Pimpintosh and his opponent upright, Valeris. So pretty high-level game here. Valeris is, you know, been one of the top players for quite some time, and Big Pimpintosh, I think I commented on it a little bit last show, but he's a little bit newer, but he's still, you know, he's got a few months under his belt, and he really does compete at the higher level. I mean, you know, I'll whenever I get the chance to play ladder and I go up against Tosh, it's pretty back and forth, man. He'll take some matches off me, and I've definitely seen a lot of replays where Tosh beats high-level players, but we got shenanigans this game, folks. Valeris has decided to go for a proxy mill turret rush here, and Big Pimpintosh is responding the best way that he can. He doesn't have any turrets of his own, which is kind of the preferred way to deal with this. You know, if you can scout the gristmill while it's being made, or before they place down their turret, you can put a turret down and try to knock it out. Oh, wait. Allow. I think, yep. Necrophagus. Automod did not like Necrophagus, apparently. Oh, my God. Oh man, Valeris. Okay, I think this is the right play here from Tosh. It was very smart of him to go ahead and take that Gristmill up top, you know, so he doesn't just get knocked out of the game in a base race scenario. And he's just saying, you know what, you've invested all your money here in this contain. I'm simply going to walk across the map because it's not a hard contain, and I'm going to knock you out. And it makes sense to try to target fire down these pigs in this situation because, you know, if you try to just YOLO onto this Gristmill, he might not even get it because the pigs will deal some damage here. And Tosh manages to keep all 6 of his squirrels alive there and knock out this Gristmill from Valeris. Very nice play indeed. Yeah, and I wouldn't even be surprised to see Tosh just, you know, set up shop completely here in the top. You know, maybe even sell off these Warrens and kind of concede. Like, this base will eventually die, but he's going to make Valeris put some money into it. Now, if this artillery cannon is in range, which I'm sure it is, to hit the Gristmill, then Valeris has made the investments that he needs. Automod trying to replace P-Boop. Yeah, man, Necrophagus is really good. They only made a couple albums, but they're like one of the best technical death metal bands. They're my lead guitarist's favorite band. But anyways, guys, interesting match we're in here. We're a little bit reset, and as you can see, I mean, it looks like Tosh gets out of this a little bit ahead here. So how do you play the match from here, right? I mean, it's essentially just a complete reset at the 2-minute 45-second mark, and you know, Tosh has got a little bit of a food lead here. You know, not even a little bit. I think he ended up with maybe 100, 150 extra food, right? Yeah, looks about somewhere around there. Oh, is he gonna do it? Yeah, my boy. All right, throws down that tier 3. And that's a nice position for it. Now, you're probably not going to pull a fast one against a guy like Valeris. I'm sure Valeris may or may not get up there and scout it. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. Yeah, Valeris is trying to eco up at the moment, and Tosh is getting out some pretty deadly units at this moment. Yeah, he gets the scout off on the Badger. He kind of runs back up there to verify which tier 3 it is, because that first little, you know, poke up there, he probably just saw that it was a Warren. So Valeris is actually going to eco regardless. Very interesting. He knows that he's got a good amount of time until this tier 3 is up. It's going to not be out until around the 5-minute mark, so. Pez asked if I'm in a band. Yeah, man, I'm a drummer. I've been playing in bands for like 15 years almost. Probably like 13 years. I don't know. Okay, so Valeris is hoping he can just kind of turtle in and hunker down against this Badger, which might work because Valeris only has this one entrance to his base, but I don't know, man. I don't know if a little bit of defense without an army is going to be enough. Now, Tosh decided to just go straight Badger here. He sold off that snake, and he's even trying to get a little bit of extra economy going because the thing is here, if Valeris does hold this Badger push from Tosh, then he's going to be in a good spot, right? He's got his extra economy up and running. So who knows, man? All right, Tosh is going to go for it. Is one Badger and 12 Pigeons going to be enough to break all this defense, though? I don't think so, man. When it was only a couple turrets and like a balloon, I was like, yeah, that's not going to be enough. But very nice here from Valeris, and really good reading of the map, I should say. You know, like, this would only work in this specific situation, right? Where you get this one entrance that protects 2 bases, which is pretty rare. You know, imagine if it was the other side of the coin and you put all this defense right here, for example. Tosh could simply walk around and come up to the side. However, Valeris knew that before building this defense here, right? If he didn't think that he could really hunker down efficiently behind it, then he would have went for something else. And, you know, I didn't even notice this game because it's such a silly match, but Valeris doesn't even have squirrels, man. Toad, skunk, owl. It's crazy stuff. Valeris says he's trolling. No, man, you gotta let me talk it up like this is the new thing, you know, and then you'll get everybody who just like tries to hop on the bandwagon on deck compositions just on the ladder running Toad, skunk, owl, man. It would be beautiful. All right, so we're gonna get into a little bit of a longer macro game. Owl is on the way for Valeris now. In the Owl versus Badger matchup, I favor the Badger with some good control. But the trap you can run into, I feel like, is if you're not kind of matching, at least in like a 2-to-1 ratio, the amount of owls, right? Like one Badger is not going to be enough against 3, 4, 5 owls. Yeah, and we see here that he's going to go up to Badger number 2. I think as long as you have like one Badger for every 2 owls or something like that, you should have enough DPS. I don't know. Don't quote me exactly on that number, but that's just kind of how it feels. Like, I play Badger pretty often, as well as Fox, just to change things up. And you come into these kind of situations quite often. And, you know, one way that Owl players are trying to adapt to the Badger is by running the Snake, because you get a lot of, you know, the pigeons. You can micro them, but you know, they kind of tend to fly up front and die, you know, and they can really cost you in those kinds of situations. So Valeris just trying to get a little bit of value here from defense and just be a little bit annoying, but really not super impactful there. Even if he got that gristmill, I don't think it would have been that big of a deal. Now this gristmill is delaying Valeris from taking it, I guess I should say. This is really smart from Big Pimpin' Tosh, because the biggest thing you want to do against an Owl player, good lord, man, 7 owls on the way, is you need to prevent them from getting out on the map completely. Because even in the Owl versus Badger matchup, I feel like, you know, if the Badger player is able to get swole enough, you know, especially if they have something like snakes, that economy just scales very, very well with owls. So, you know, trying to keep an Owl opponent on like 2 base while you go up to 3 or 4 is often the right move to make. Dude, I'm telling you, WOOFCOIN sounds like it should be a micro, yeah, like a cryptocurrency, doesn't it? I'm thinking of like Dogecoin. 6 Badgers? Oh my god, I'm going to fast forward a little bit here, as we're in a little bit of a lull, as these guys have both, you know, the thing is that's really crazy about this, you know, people will argue, and you can see it right in front of you, like, hey man, you can make a lot of owls off 2 bases, which is true, but you also have to keep in mind that we haven't had a big engagement this game, right? Engagements really, really lower the overall power level of that death ball, you know, per economy, if that makes sense, because you have to spend so much money remaking units. Now, the mice come in here. Did Tosh lose any Badgers? I don't think so. He might have, but I think he's just had the 3 for the time being. And yeah, I mean, again, I like this position for Tosh as long as he has good control. So far, so good. That one Badger getting a little bit low, but he's able to pull it back with some decent micro here. And now he's starting to really pierce into Valeris' territory. Getting on top of all the infrastructure here. And the skunks, too. Like, skunks do phenomenally against mice. He needs to be careful. He doesn't want these mice to just wreck these skunks before they can really get their damage out. And again, so far, no Badgers have gone down. And yeah, Tosh is just going to take the game from here. I mean, part of that was, you know, Badger typically, it's not really a hard rock, paper, scissors kind of thing, so I don't want to, like, devolve it down to that. But a good rule of thumb is, like, you know, Owl is really good against Fox. You know, Fox is good against Badger. Badger is good against Owl. But that's not always the case. But the real difference this game, what I want to kind of highlight, is that Tosh was able to get very far ahead economically of his Owling opponent, which I think is the most critical component here. That was Macro Beats Turtle, says P-Boop. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why I didn't want to skim over that. But anyways, guys, let's get into game number 3. Spawning on the left, we've got Iris. I think it's Iris. And to the right, we've got the Gentleman. Okay, so Iris rocking that Owl-Fox combo. We've seen the Gentleman have some pretty good success with. I've even experimented with it a little bit, and it's a lot of fun, man. I really like Iris's deck overall. It's something that I'll probably steal and practice with on the ladder a little bit. And meanwhile, the Gentleman is going for like the standard. You know what I'm saying? Like, steal the gentleman's deck, man. If you're watching the show to learn a couple tips and tricks for the ladder, absolutely, the gentleman's deck here is top notch. I feel like, you know, maybe if you're a beginner and you don't really understand when and where to use the moles, you could drop them for like a turret. But yeah, I mean, the composition here from Gentleman's great. But what's really good about it is the late game synergy. It's kind of weird. Like Owl, Falcon, Skunk does very, very well against other Owl players. So it's like the Gentleman is really taking some picks here to win in that mirror matchup when both players are going for the Owl. Because the Skunks do very, very well at dealing with your opponent's mice, and the Falcons can get up on your opponent's Owls and snipe them out. Stop Owl Fox, says Boo. Dude, Owl Fox is pretty cool. So far, nothing crazy. A bit of an early tier 2 here from the Gentleman. But other than that, we'll just have to see how this game progresses. It's a bit of a rough map here for the Gentleman. He gets his campfire, which is nice, but so does Iris. Ooh, Iris. Okay. This is kind of my my favorite Fox opening. Essentially, the Delthius Fox Rush opening is 8 farm, 2 tier 1 Warren, Fox Warren, 2 tier 1 Warren, and then you'll end up with 12 squirrels and a pretty fast Fox. And if you have now, it's a little bit risky in Iris's situation because he doesn't have turrets. The turrets are kind of the backbone of stopping aggression with this kind of opening. But we'll see. I mean, the Gentleman might not even get aggressive. Oh, as I say that, he sells off all of his tier 2, and it looks like he wants to just macro up super, super hard. I was wondering if he might be trying to find a spot to build some moles or something and see if he could snipe that tier 3 Warren, but no, he's saying, okay, man, the Fox is going to be here relatively soon. The Gentleman doesn't have any really easy answers for the Fox, to be honest. In fact, nothing in the Gentleman's deck really screams Fox answer to me besides that Owl, but, you know, he's not going to be able to get that anytime soon. But you can still deal with the Fox even just with squirrels. It's not the easiest thing to do in the world, but it can be done. You just need some good micro and try to project where you're backing your opponent up, right? Like try to box him into a corner or some unfavorable terrain. Like even this water could be difficult for Kasha here, but overall Iris is in a good spot. Now he's got to get damage done. The Gentleman is so far ahead in economy, you know, literally double here, and the Gentleman's got the Owl coming eventually. He sells off that Owl Warren, rightly so. If I was Iris, I would absolutely target that down. And yeah, this is a fantastic attack here from Iris, and Gentleman's just gonna try to decide to counter here with the moles. So yeah, I you know, this looks really powerful for Iris, but the Gentleman responded to this Fox Rush very greedily. You know, he said, you're getting a Fox, I'm gonna go hardcore economy. And it looks like Gentleman is probably just gonna win the game here with a mole counter attack. Very well done. It can be hard to remember to be prepared for that, especially when you haven't seen moles out all game long. You know, like if you see a mole in the early game or something, you're kind of thinking about it a little more. But I kind of say the same thing about mines. You know, like you're not being careful of mines until you see a mine, right? But yeah, very nicely done there from the Gentleman. I mean, you could say that Iris could have taken a gristmill or something like that as he was moving out. But again, I mean, he just wasn't expecting the moles, you know. Mole and tail. All right, match number 4. All right, spawning on the right, we've got Spirit Bear and his opponent to the left, Lego Man. Preview Bo says, you don't own that build, don't put your name on a Del. Listen, I refined that build. Pretty sure. Other people do it too. I'm not trying to say I'm the only person in the world that figured that out, but I actually did write a very lengthy guide on Reddit, like back in September, where I was explaining, I just was trying to figure out a way to help the community, so I wrote this like really long guide on like foundations of RTS and what different nomenclature means and stuff, and then I included 8 farm, or I'm sorry, the Fox Rush build in that guide. So I published that build like 10 months ago, if that counts for anything. Anyways, nothing crazy happening in this game. We'll have to see where these guys want to go. Map looks pretty good, to be honest. Like, both players should be able to get up to 3 base, no problem. A little bit better here from Lego Man, as he does have the 4th base over tucked in. And this base here in the middle probably will never get taken. If it does, then that person's probably going to win the game from there anyways. Two Owls is stronger, doesn't take an extra slot in the deck. Oh, B-Boop's arguing against Owl Fox. Makes sense. No, it's hard to say. I mean, it's just the flexibility. Like, you're just giving up a deck slot to have the flexibility to go for a Fox. That's really all it is. Alright, so, campfire down here in the south for Spirit Bear. Did Lego Man scout that? If he did, okay. It's still fine, but if he did scout that, I would have a nice tip of the hat there to Lego Man, because I feel like taking a gristmill, throwing down a couple farms is the right response to identifying an early campfire. But both players just, you know, getting some tier 1 out at the moment and gonna take the game into the mid game. I don't see anyone really attacking one another at this point. Spirit Bear really needs to identify that gristmill though, because if Lego Man, you know, if this goes unscouted and Lego Man just starts throwing more and more farms on it, that could become a really big deal. Right now the economies are even, but Lego Man, once this farm finishes, is going to start having a leg up. Alright, so Skunk's coming out for both players. Again, fairly standard stuff at this point. Nothing super crazy. Owl versus Wolf here, which is exciting. And Snake, too. I like to see more and more Snake play, man. I like units that really encourage Micro, because Micro is what makes the game interesting, you know? So I love seeing it when guys like do some hardcore Snake Micro and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. Alright, Spirit Bear looking to get aggressive here. And he's got a little bit better of an army, but he is attacking into Lego Man, who's going to have that defender's advantage. Now, Spirit Bear can secure this high ground. He'll be in good shape, but Lego Man's Skunks are already getting some gas laid down. Here we go. The engagement's going to come in. And need to be careful to keep these tier 2 alive. One of the Skunks dies for green. Both Skunks still remain for Spirit Bear. Lego Man tries to get a balloon up, and I think it will finish in time, but it's slowing down the reproduction here of the Skunks. Ooh, that Skunk's gonna die to skunk gas, man. Is that balloon gonna be enough to push Spirit Bear back is the question. If Spirit Bear's re-rallying, he's got a lot of stuff, and I like that he's kind of waiting a second before re-engaging in here. Gonna get a little bit of target firing, very nice there for blue. And he's gonna be able to target down this balloon. And I think he's got a lot of tempo, man. As long as he doesn't overextend, if he keeps just kind of pulling back, you know, I think he can keep the pressure up, but he decides, looks like, to just go home. Which I would say is fine, but in this situation, okay, he knows about the second base from Lego Man, and Lego Man didn't really saturate any other, excuse me, farms here, so not the end of the world for Spirit Bear, as Spirit Bear does have 2 campfires going. So the economy should be somewhat similar. Oh, I was like, why is Lego Man's economy ahead? It's because he had this campfire as well. So yeah, I mean, Lego Man's got a little bit of an economic lead, but I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world, especially because Spirit Bear is starting to throw down some farms here on his second base. And yeah, it looks like both players are just gonna take a step back and try to transition into the late game. Now, at this phase, I'm I'm waiting to see if either player decides to pull the trigger, which it looks like Spirit Bear is starting to get into position to do, or throw down that tier 3, which is what I really want to see. Spirit Bear is just trying to creep up these balloons. I like this. He had a balloon placed over to the back. He sells that and moves it forward a little bit. You know, one balloon is fine, but you don't want to go crazy with balloons. Here we go, another big engagement. And the skunk gas there definitely favored Lego Man. But is he going to have enough to push through? He target fires down the balloon, which is nice, but he loses a lot of his army, but he's still got a couple skunks left alive. The gentleman lost meme. Dude, we've got so many memes here on TnTTV. It's insane. We got Woof. We got gentleman loss. What else do we got? There's other things. My brain hurts. P-boop. That's not really a meme though, it's a nickname. Alright, alright. So we're gonna stabilize. Yeah, it looks like we're gonna start getting into the late game. Neither player throwing down that tier 3, which is totally fine. It's very difficult to find the moment where you can afford that. Look how good I am. I beat gentlemen. Yep. That you should feel honored, man, that people submit losses against you or wins against you, because they get excited. They're like, oh, I beat the gentleman. I'm gonna send that to Delthius. You know what I'm saying? It's a good thing. Alright, so the owl did get placed down from Spirit Bear. Is Lego Man gonna be able to afford a woof anytime soon? It looks like he just wants more and more tier 2 for the moment. Another owl here for Spirit Bear. So Lego Man's got a couple minutes, and then after that, the power level of Spirit Bear's army is gonna definitely go up. Now, Lego Man's got 4 skunks, which are a good, you know, way to deal with owls, so I wouldn't be too worried about them. And both players trying to get into that 3-base economy at this point. Really not even a 3-base economy, I guess. It's more like trying to maintain that 2-base economy, right? Alright, alright. Let's see it. Maybe a little bit of fast forward here. Just a pinch. Just a tiny little. Ugh. Ooh, nice little harassment here from Lego Man. He's getting some free value with these Falcons. He's gonna get 2 pigs. Very well done. I wonder if the balloon was like slightly closer. Couple of these farms would be in range. I think the balloon is in range, at least of this corner farm, right? Yeah, it should be. Okay, now it definitely is. Alright, so here's the moment, man. Spirit Bear's got his 2 owls. That's gonna add a lot of value to his army here, and I'd love to see him try to swing up and attack in this way, you know, away from all those balloons. So the owl has been identified here from Lego Man. That's going to prompt him to throw down his woof, but it's a little too late. Like, as long as he can hang on, it's fine. But, you know, obviously you'd prefer to have your own tier 3 around the same time or before when your opponent does. The Spirit Bear's just still kind of hanging on, which is fine, but yeah, you got to come in here and harass with these mice. These mice, I think, just kind of ran in on their own volition. Actually didn't get anything done at all. But little things I would love to see from Spirit Bear here would be like, you know, running up here with the owl, for example, just letting the mice start wrecking those warrens and pulling them back. You know, little things like that can really help you out. And I like the way Lego Man is going here. He's just getting a ton of skunks. He's trying to bolster that Falcon force. Ooh, very nice. The snake knocks down that Grismo. Well done. With that vision there from the balloon. Hey, thanks James Swinleaf for the host, man. Alright, so Spirit Bear is coming in on the best angle for him, away from those balloons. And it's a pretty brutal fight. Both sides kind of trading blows there, but the owls stay alive. But Spirit Bear, okay, keeps the skunks alive. Well, no, one of them falls. The other one's probably going to fall as well. So all the tier 2 going to go down for Spirit Bear here. Very well done here from Lego Man. No pigeons, though, and his units are very, very low HP. So you might want to step back for a minute, at least let them regen somewhat. But he's got Spirit Bear kind of against the ropes now, man. That was a very expensive push in from Spirit Bear. You know, losing your tier 2, like that, like once you get to these big army, it kind of goes without saying, but you know, really the main targets are the tier 2 and tier 3 when you can, for sure. But even against an opponent with an owl, I'd probably start targeting the tier 2 before the owl, just because they're easier to get to. You don't want to make your whole army, you know, run through your opponents while you're chasing waterfalls, man. Blah. Blah. This Proxy Gristmill is soaking up a little bit of damage, but not enough. And that attack actually got more done here for Spirit Bear. This time around, he isn't really losing his tier 2. The tier 2 losses are on Lego Man's side. The Woof is finally here. But it might be a little too late. Glad to see people playing Owl. Never used to see it, says Ghost. Yeah, Owl's pretty popular right now. I don't think it's OP or anything. Like, I mean, it's strong. You know, it's the unit that produces free units. It's always going to be strong. But it's definitely manageable. Well played there from Spirit Bear. Okay, where are we at? Match number 5. Let us hop into it. Spawning on the left, we've got Massive Stealth. And his opponent to the right, Milk Toast. Okay, Massive Stealth. Rocking them arty cannons, man. Cool to see. Cool to see. Squirrel Pigeon Moles, pretty strong combo. And Milk Toast is playing, you know, pretty bread and butter style, I think. You know, Squirrel, Toad, Ferret, Skunk, Owl, Turret. It's a fine deck, indeed. Ooh, Mass is thinking about it. He doesn't have the food at the moment. Nice, nice juking and jiving skills there. Gonna decide not to do any mole shenanigans as Hopper was staring him right in the face, so. Goes for a 6-farm Warren here. Pretty interesting. I wonder if he's gonna go, I think he's just going for a safe opening. Kind of mind-gamed Milquetoast a little bit. Milquetoast panicked for a second, built a turret expecting something to come his way, but realizes nothing's coming, sells that off, so really no harm, no foul. Both players in pretty similar situations. Massive Stealth getting some Warrens up. You know, I think he went like 6-farm Warren to a 7-farm Warren. So he's going to get squirrels fairly quickly. Now, Milquetoast went a 6-farm Warren as well, but went straight up to 8 farms. So a little bit of a basically negligible economic lead here for Milquetoast, but Massive Stealth's looking to move out while he's got an extra squirrel or two up on his opponent. And instead is just gonna settle for trying to start taking this high ground. And this would be a wonderful position to throw down an artillery cannon if he can manage to make it happen. But you can't really just save up for the artillery cannon though at this point, because especially with investing in the campfire, you really got to make sure your opponent just can't do this, right? You can't just run in here with more tier 1 and then knock out your campfire, foil your plans. So nicely done there. Massive Stealth kind of realizing the jig is up, sells that campfire, gets most of his money back, and falls back. But that puts Milquetoast in a decent spot. I mean, he won that engagement. You know, he traded more effectively. He denied the campfire, and he sees that Massive Stealth again is going to try to take this campfire. Now, Milquetoast oh, he actually loses it this time. Milquetoast needs to be on point with this Toad micro, though, especially if Massive Stealth takes that campfire again. You don't want to let those Toads just run into buildings. This is looking pretty good for Milquetoast, man. Master Stealth's got some money here. What's he gonna spend it on? Is he gonna throw down our artillery? He decides to. Milquetoast also saving up a couple bucks. Gonna go for some ferrets. Oh, no, changes his mind. Is gonna... Okay, just drop ferrets again. I thought he was about to throw down an owl warren. He changes his mind and puts the ferret warren in a better spot. Alright, Milk's like, come at me, bro. And he's starting to move in. Now these toads kind of detonate on only a couple squirrels. Actually, very nicely done there from Master Stealth. Dealing with the toads, kind of splitting up his squirrels a little bit. But Milquetoast might be coming in here right at the right moment to focus down this artillery cannon right before it gets built. Master Stealth is desperately trying to hold on with whatever he's got to deal with this. Oh man, and just barely holds on to that. Well done there by Master Stealth. Getting that artillery cannon up. That's gonna take the pressure off, at least for the time being. But, you know, this artillery cannon is going to kind of defend this base, but I don't think it will completely. You know, if Milquetoast attacks in from an angle like that, for example. But Milquetoast is going to keep the pressure on. He's got a ferret here, which is going to add a lot of poking potential, and Master Stealth just goes ahead and decides that, you know, that gristmill is not going to last very long with a ferret, right? So Master Stealth does have the artillery cannon to kind of zone back Milquetoast for the time being, but with some good ferret micro, Milquetoast can still get some value. And now his economy is going to start getting in the lead as well. Master Stealth finds a better second base for him to take, at least more safe, easier to defend. Now this artillery cannon will help defend this base, I feel like, you know, if you have to try to come up here, but if Milquetoast gets high ground vision, he can certainly siege from the side, and that owl has been planted down. Master Stealth's been under such constant pressure, he hasn't really been able to get over there and see what his opponent's up to. Just gonna try to do some micro with these ferrets and backs him out. Doesn't want to risk losing any of those guys. I would argue this turret could be placed more forward, but look at this. I mean, the map is just begging you to place a turret right there. You know what I'm saying? That's just a beautiful turret spot. Ooh, Master Stealth's commander goes down to that turret, so now Milquetoast has an opportunity to get in here without Master Stealth microing, but needs to be careful of all that splash damage from the artillery cannon here on his clumped up units, so he backs off for the time being, gets a couple kills here and there, but doesn't fully commit. Alright, Master Stealth looking to put some pressure on. He really needs to target fire down these toads. One of them goes down, but most of the toads get the detonations that he was looking for, that Milquetoast was looking for, rather. And nice trade there for a red player. Okay. The owl's almost here, man. Yeah, Milquetoast knows about that base, right? Yeah, he keeps trying to get his ferrets into position to try to poke and prod that thing down. Here we go, the toads marching in. Don't get the best engagements in the world, but still trade, you know, kind of one for one there. But now Milquetoast is trying to get himself in a position where he can siege this base, but not be taking too much damage from the artillery cannon. But he is in range, and that artillery cannon is helping out Master Stealth here with some DPS. So these mice are finally on the board. And that's going to be huge, especially in little scrappy situations like this. Oh, is Master Stealth tapping out? No, he's going to stay at it. He's probably banning somebody on Discord real quick or something. The second base goes down for Master, then I think that's probably going to be the cue to tap out. Well played there from Milquetoast. Okay, match number 6, and then a pretty quick break, maybe like a minute or something. Let's get into it. Alright, spawning on the top, we've got Premium Bow and Premium Farting. And their opponents in the bottom, Furmar and Dr. Blue. Alright, double woof here for our red and green team. And we got Boar Fox from blue and yellow. A little bit of mole shenaniganry here from old P-Boop. Actually built in a very optimal position where it's not in pig fire and it's got a very short rally distance to start getting something done. And poor Dr. Blue, man. Maybe a newer player doesn't sell that pig off. Oh, Premium Bow gets this mole home. Very nice. Somebody give that mole a medal, man. So let's see, nothing else really that crazy. Furmar going for a 4-farm double, which is, you know, I mean, it's not unheard of in 2v2 to open up aggressively. But you got to be careful, man. James over here rocking a healthy economy that could really get out of hand if blue and yellow can't muster up their own farms, you know, in time. And you're taking a very big gamble in the early game anytime that you don't go straight up to 8 farms. You know, not that I'm only encouraging straight 8 farm play. In fact, I think that's a boring meta. You know, if both players are encouraged to go straight 8 farm, then the early game's always going to play out the same way, which in a fast-paced game like Tooth and Tail wouldn't really be the end of the world. And I don't think it would. I'd actually retract that statement and say I don't think that would constitute a boring meta, but it's way more interesting when those first couple scouts really matter, man. And you're looking to see, okay, are they going for mulchies? Are they going for a 4-farm double or a 5-farm double? Or, you know what I mean? It's really cool to see. So, Tier 3 already getting placed down here. Now, are either team aware of their opponent's Tier 3? Blue just scouted the Tier 3 of his opponent. And let's see, it looks like, yeah, and red and green are also aware. So, everybody knows this Tier 3 is on the way. Second base is... Oh, wait a second. Furmar trying to take a sneaky base here. But Premium Bow is going to answer with some moles. Premium Bow, by the way, no squirrels in his deck. No lizards. No toads, man. Just pure ownage. Nice job dealing with that, but... kind of really greedy play from Furmar there. Maybe it was kind of a bait and switch, you know. Kind of keep his opponents away from him for the time being while this boar comes out. Fox on the way as well here for Dr. Blue. Nice little hidden Fox placement. I give him a tip of the hat for that. You know, it's always fun to try to be innovative with where you're gonna place that Tier 3 Warren, man. And I like this barbed wire too. From James here. Like, I like just the minimal style of it. You know, he hasn't invested a ton of money into it. But it's still going to be nice for him. Premium Bow. Oh, snap. This is really cool. This is probably intentional, or I'm going to give them the credit for it anyways. But James getting the Wolf, and then Premium Bow getting 6 chameleons for the buff. I'd love to see them pull that off and let the Wolf, you know, just buff the chameleons, and then Premium Bow get in there with the chameleons and get some sneaky work done. Why do you gotta use BS units like chameleons who stealth? Because it's easy and deals a lot of damage. Oh, Toads Bagoats here coming out of old Doc Blue. Lots of toads and a fox, and then some snakes as well. Here come the chameleons. No wolf buff, but that's alright. Where's Premium Bow gonna go with him? Oh, is he He's sneaking him all the way to the side. This is really great. But he's gotta be kicking himself that the fox is here. You know, he's got plenty of chameleons to set up a very effective fox track. But no, poor Dr. Blue. Definitely a new player. And loses that fox pretty quickly. Very nice chameleon attack here from P-Boop. He's even just going to sneak him over to the side, man. Just store him here for later. I love it. As long as he doesn't need these chameleons. And look at this. James, man. They're just the sneaky team here, man. Knocks Furmar out of the game. Really interesting win here. As now Dr. Blue's gonna try to do something against these chameleons, maybe counterattack or something, but P-Boop can simply end the game right here, right now by taking out that gristmill. I don't think this artillery cannon would even be enough to deal with these chameleons in time. Now, he's only got a few of them left over here, just 4, so with the snake there as well. But, you know, a ton of moles certainly help. But yeah, damn, man. Even with the snake and the artillery cannon, 4 chameleons are able to take out that gristmill. Maybe it was 5. Could have been 5, but I think it was 4. Really cool game. Okay, guys, super quick break. I'll be back in like a minute or 2, so don't go anywhere. See you soon. What's up, everybody? I am back. How's it going, guys? Okay. Let's keep things moving. Match number 7. Spawning in the bottom, we've got Swifty. And his opponent to the right, Saga. The audio should be good, right? Like, the audio levels, you guys can hear the music and sound. Like, I'm trying to really hone in on my levels. I've been trying to review my videos a little bit when I get the chance. But let me know, guys. I mean, I know it's probably fine, but I'm trying to, like, really fine-tune it. So we've got Swifty playing an owl style, utilizing the snake, which is pretty cool, dropping any defense, and, you know, even being able to fit in toad and pigeon as well. So lots of powerful stuff here in Swifty's composition. And meanwhile, we got Saga trying to run a fox style, even introducing the lizards into it. I think lizards are always a good option when you can fit them into your composition, just to have that capability for flank attacks, counter attacks, hitting in 2 places at once, or tech switching into a billion lizards later on. But overall, I don't, you know, like, Saga's deck is good. I'm not saying it's not. It's fine. But I don't think that the tier 2 necessarily synergize super well with the Fox, but Skunk is very powerful, very tried and true. And, you know, it really, like, it does. I think it's incorrect for me to say that they don't work well together, because, you know, the Skunk is really just designed to try to get you through the early game. But, you know, I was having a lot of experience in the tier 2, or having a lot of success in this, like, tier 2 heavy meta with lizards. You'd be, like, Squizzard can go up against Squirrel Skunk or something. I'd even bet to wager Squirrel Snake, and the lizards will just get on top of those tier 2s and kill them so quickly with some good micro. Which maybe that's the intention here from Saga. I mean, lizards are just a very versatile unit. They can be used to do a lot of different things. So it's really kind of hard to say exactly what he has in mind for the use of the lizards this match. Just throwing a couple in, maybe getting up that Squizzard comp. And yeah, like, if you go like 9 squirrel, 9 lizard against, you know, Now Swifty here is going very, very greedy with this tier 2, getting those snakes out very fast, but he's low on tier 1 at the moment. But I still think his position is defensible enough against Saga. I think Saga probably had a window maybe a little bit earlier to try to move in and poke and prod at Swifty, but Swifty's a very good player, could probably handle that with minimal losses. So the skunks are coming down here from Saga. But yeah, what I was going to say earlier is I personally don't like running Falcons with Fox, but I think it makes sense because the Falcons are kind of there, like if we get to that late game, you know, I've got something. Like Falcons are a lot of burst damage, man. You could argue, you know, their DPS or whatever is kind of similar to a squirrel or something, but you can't underestimate, you know, burst damage, right? Like 6 to 8 Falcons can burst down a badger very, very quickly, you know, even if it's got pigeon healing, for example. Hey, Pocketwatch, thanks for the host, man. What's going on, Andy? I gotta hit you up, man, and get you onto co-cast with me whenever you got availability, man. It'd be fun. It's always a pleasure casting with you, my man. All right, so Swifty is playing, you know, fairly greedy this game overall, I gotta say. You know, he got very quick tier 2s. He grabs these campfires over here, which is just phenomenal, you know, especially if you're a new player. I highly recommend, like, campfires over here, just grab them, man. Like, yeah, every now and then your opponent will scout him out. Well, hold that thought. Saga is gonna move in and try to get something done here. The toad hits were pretty good for Swifty, knocking out most of those lizards very, very quickly. Yeah, just looked at my instant replay there. The lizard count dropped, yeah, very, very fast. And Saga gets some damage done here. But the key, you know, part of this is that Swifty kept his tier 2 alive and Saga didn't. So now Swifty is just in a phenomenal position to push in for the counter attack. This might be too much damage. We'll have to see. Swifty getting these good gas clouds established, which make it very hard for more and more units to join the fray. Andy, please replace Del, right? Swifty takes the match. Very well done. Okay, let's hop into game number 8. Spawning in the bottom, we've got Parsival. And his opponent up top, Maniac. Now, I believe both these players are newer. You know, I don't want to say they're new per se. But, you know, probably been around for a few months, if I had to guess. I really hate making that assumption just because I haven't seen somebody around in Discord or on the ladder ranking or something. It does not necessarily mean that they're new, so... 5 farm Warren coming out here for Maniac. Could be safe, could be looking to put on some aggression. It's really going to depend on if he throws down a farm or an additional Warren at this point. But it looks like to me, he's trying to figure out a spot to throw another Warren. It looks like he might even be wanting to hide it a bit. Or perhaps he's just trying to scout. Yeah, I think he just wants to try to hide this other Warren. And he's hoping that Parsival doesn't get the scout in. But Parsival sees 5 farms, and now he sees everything. He knows the 5 farm double is heading his way. And he went for the traditional 8 farm opening. But the problem here is that lizards aren't as good at this as you think they would be. They are very, very fast, but the squirrels with their additional range on defender's advantage can defend quite nicely against lizards. But, you know, selling that Warren is going to make this a lot more effective here for Maniac. As Parsival is not going to have very many units anytime soon, and 4 or 5 lizards is definitely enough to come in here and snipe off a corner pig. He's even going to go for another one. I think he's got it, but overextends trying to get that last one and lose those 2 lizards. But I will trade 4 to 5 lizards any day of the week for 2 pigs. So Parsival's in a rough spot now, man. Maniac did get some damage done with this rush, you know, poking in, forcing that cell on Parsival's Warren, really slowed down how quickly Parsival could produce his own units to try to defend against the onslaught of lizards here. And now Maniac has actually gotten some damage done. He's taken a campfire, so his economy is getting a little bit better. But you do need to keep in mind that Maniac is not on 8 farms, right? So he's kind of playing from behind this entire time. He's got to get damage done. So when you really factor in the fact that, yeah, Parsival's taken some hits, but Parsival's got a better economy, like, you know, who knows who's really ahead, right? And it can be very difficult with these kinds of openings. Yeah, I think Maniac is starting to make a little bit of a mistake here by not taking these additional farms. Like, you can go this route certainly, but now Maniac is really in an all-in position because Parsival is going to start getting very far ahead here. And he's even got the Toads, which can take some really great engagements against the Lizards. Now Maniac is starting to be a little bit more cognitive of this economic disadvantage, throws down a farm, and you know the campfire is going to help him out too. But you can see that Parsival has enjoyed a nice economic lead throughout this aggressive early game. But I'm really scared for Maniac now that there's Toads on the board. You know, Maniac really needs to identify that Parsival has the Toads and consider, you know, selling out of a couple of these Lizard Warrens. And I still think it's correct to keep, like, a lesser amount. Like, keep 3 Lizards against 3 or 6 Toads. You know, try to get those Toads to blow up on your Lizards to protect your Squirrels, that kind of thing. Okay, so Parsival trying to get up some tier 2, and he feels like he's got enough. I like this position. If these Toads get great hits, which they did against those Lizards, Parsival could take this battle. He needs to target fire down these units. Yeah, and Parsival takes the engagement. Now he's in a great spot. Gilliman says, I won't trade 4 to 6 Lizards for 2 pigs if it's in the early game. Really? I think if you can do it and keep your own economy going, you know, like do the 5 farm double attack. You can queue a farm as you're leaving, so you're on like 6 farm right, go in and rush, and then pay for the 7th farm, queue the 8th farm. I think you come out ahead in that position, but you'd know better than I would. Parsival gets his second base over the side. It's going to get punished by Maniac, but now Maniac's out of position here, and Parsival is going to move in for the Rampage. Now the Toads do go off against structures, which is not ideal, and the Lizards show up, but Parsival's just got too much at this point. Very nicely done here. Moving in, and Maniac didn't even get this Gristmill, man. Super unfortunate, but the damage has been done. Parsival is moving in to deliver the killing blow at this point. Well played. Alright guys, we got some crazy nonsense coming up for you next. Let's get into a free-for-all. Okay, spawning at the bottom, we've got AC Broken Wing. To the right, Insane Jester. Over to the left, we've got Parsival. And their opponent up top, Vladlad. This is a free-for-all, right? Okay, just want to make sure. Alright. So, off the bat, you gotta be happy if you're Vladlad in this position, right? He's kind of spread out. But really, the spawn for these other guys isn't the worst in the world. Now, Vladlad is away from his opponents, which is nice in a free-for-all. You kind of want to be the guy that's left alone while the other players kill one another, right? But, you know, he doesn't have good real estate here. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, he could take this base, maybe get this base if Insane Jester isn't contesting it, but blue, green, and yellow all have pretty easy access to a second and third. Now, easy with an asterisk, obviously, because this base is certainly not easy to take. But, you know, it's going to be scrappy. I mean, maybe Parsival's got the best setup here? Maybe? Because this does look, or either Parsival or Insane Jester, I want to say. I think Parsival, right? Does Parsival have the best spawn? I think so. Yeah, the counterattack potential. Yeah, I see what you're saying about that, for sure. That's often my mistake when I'm aggressive, is I'll like go in with 4 farm double or a 5 farm double or something, get some damage done, and be like, alright, now I'm going to sell off my Warrens and, you know, build a bunch of farms. So I dealt damage and my economy gets ahead. But a smart player will just simply counterattack you. And then all of a sudden, they've got 6 squirrels and you've maybe got 1, you know? Ooh, what's Archimedes doing? He's kind of faux rallying here, you know? Just kind of waving his flag in the air like, what? And Broken Wing builds up some moles with some pigeons and snakes. So I think he's gonna want to get aggressive here. If I want to be super nitpicky, I'd say probably build these moles a little too early. With stuff like moles, you know, you want to try to build them at the last possible second so you can spend your other money on other things earlier on. But it looks like guys are starting to rally up here. Parsifal's moving out with just a lot of squirrels, man. I like this, you know, pure squirrel style. It's almost like a shoulder check kind of opening, you know, where it's like if you're doing anything too weird, well, I've got, you know, 5 tier 1 Warrens, man. So can you answer that? And it looks like this is a nice move here from Parsifal. Gonna kind of call AC Broken Wing's bluff, and AC Broken Wing just kind of rage quits there after some damage had been dealt to him. He was definitely behind, you know. I don't really blame him for tapping out, but Insane Jester was moving over and maybe would have started scruffling with Parsifal's army. But nicely done by Parsifal. We often argue in free-for-all, like, the player who gets to run around and knock other players out is in a bad spot. But, I mean, look at that right there. You know, Parsifal knocked out Broken Wing, really didn't lose much more than maybe a squirrel or two. And now he's in a fine position. You know, he's got some money banked up. He's got a second base coming. But he's going to try to test his luck against Vladlad. Nice target fire coming down from both players here. Parsifal does manage to take out a skunk, but the skunk gas coming out of 3 or 4 of those things, man, was absolutely crazy. Skunks are designed for that specific situation, right? Going up against a whole bunch of squirrels, and as you can see, they do quite well in that scenario. You know, a little bit of, I'm kind of surprised Vladlad lost the skunk there, but really that was, you know, one thing I don't like with casting, or like I try to avoid, is saying something like, oh, Vladlad messed up right there and lost the skunk, instead of saying, you know, well done by Parsifal for taking that skunk, if that makes sense. Which is true. You know, Parsifal had very good target firing there and knocked out the skunk. I mean, from a player like Vladlad, he's one of the top guys, so, you know, it's very easy to say, like, oh, you know, how did he lose the skunk there? But, you know, Parsifal played it well, man, and got some value out of it, so nicely done. Overall, though, Vladlad probably still won the fight. I'd have to really look at it, I guess, because Vladlad did lose a bunch of squirrels too, but certainly knocked out more tier 1 than he lost. Now, the Woof is coming out here for Vladlad, which is pretty key. And Insane Jester has been kind of left alone for the time being, and has skyrocketed up on economy, and is just going for a lot of squirrels, a lot of falcons at this point. Ooh, look at this. I almost missed it here. Vladlad just gonna gas this base to death here. Maybe if you're a newer viewer, the skunks, they can only hurt units, so they're not gonna do any damage to structures, but he still knocks out a couple farms, but he's out of position and gives Parsifal a good opportunity to get in here and get some damage done. But Vladlad is going to hold this very nicely as long as he keeps these skunks alive. Okay, I was getting worried there for a second. Now, Vladlad did bleed off a Warren or 2 there. Actually, he lost a lot of Warrens. Didn't he lose? He must have lost 2 tier 2 Warrens and a tier 1 Warren, right? So, quite a bit of damage done there from Parsifal. You know, Parsifal lost a lot of his army to do it, but this aggression here from Insane Jester, man. My money's starting to go to Insane Jester, to be honest. You know, Vladlad's starting to take a little bit too much damage, and Insane Jester has been left alone for so long. Now, Parsifal's economy is still pretty damn good, though. But the problem is that Insane Jester hasn't spent his money yet, so he doesn't have anything like a fox or a whole bunch of snakes to really power up his army here. The Woof is out from Vladlad, but it's too little too late, as Parsifal and Insane Jester have just decided, you know what, man, Vladlad is not winning this game. Vladlad's like, I don't think so. I'm going to keep taking gristmill. Doesn't get up in time, though. Gets sent to the kitchen. Now we're just left with the remaining 2 players here, Parsifal versus Insane Jester. Now, Insane Jester did finally get a chance to run home and spend his money. He decides to build more falcons, more squirrels. He decides that's the composition he wants. And Chameleon Skunk can actually do really well against falcons. You'd be surprised, because it's kind of, you know, you'd think intuitively, oh, well, falcons, you know, those units can't hit air, so the falcons will be good. But the chameleons and skunks will just wreck the squirrel count, you know, which the falcons really, really need because they're so squishy, right? So you kind of kill off all the squirrels, and then your own squirrels can fairly easily get up on your opponent's falcons, as we see here. But overall, I think Parsifal also had the bigger army by quite a bit going into that engagement as well. So it's not really like it was just, you know, Squirrel Falcon versus Squirrel Skunk Chameleon. I gotta say, man, Parzival played this very, very well. You know, he kept the pressure on his opponents the entire game. You know, he didn't miss a beat on his macro, on you know, continuing to grab bases, you know, teching up. He didn't do anything super, super greedy, like try to take, you know, a third base or a wolf or two or anything like that. So yeah, impressive gameplay here from Parzival, who should probably be taking the match relatively shortly. Yeah, sure, Mishra. Shoot on over to me. I think we're making pretty good time tonight, so I'll be able to squeeze in an Mishra replay. And I'm just gonna fast forward the end of this, guys. Parzival's definitely one. Not to be anticlimactic, but the damage is done. I like this response from Insane Jester. Gonna try to, you know, rally up as many lizards as he can. Maybe try to force it into a base race, but doesn't quite get there in time. And Parzival takes the free for all off the back. Some really impressive play. Did you finally decide on WOOFCOIN? Yes. Yeah, if you guys missed the show on Tuesday night, man, I announced I'm going to try to get my act together and get that streaming currency going over the weekend. So we decided on WOOFCOIN, man. I think WOOFCOIN's a pretty good name, and you know, Premium Bo might help me out with it if I need him to, but ideally what I'd like to do, and I was thinking about it a little bit today on my lunch break, and like my ideal setup for the bot is, you know, for one, I'm just gonna start everybody off with a bunch of currency. I don't know what it is yet. You know, probably 500 WOOFCOINs or something like that. You know, so everybody has something to bet with. It'll work like any other streaming currency. You know, you tune in, watch the show, things like that, and you'll earn more WOOFCOIN. Don't quote me on it, but I wouldn't be opposed to the idea if it didn't end up becoming a lot of work on my end to give extra WOOFCOIN to people who submit replays. Because submitting is really important, man. I can't stress that enough. You know, I'm actually really impressed and happy with the community. You know, this is my 70th episode, right? And I can only remember like maybe 1 or 2 shows where I didn't have enough replays to fill 2 hours. So everybody's always on top of submitting replays, and I do appreciate that. But ideally, I'd like to get it set up where I could say, okay, we're going into the next match here, you know, Pingu versus Jet Erickson, right? And then maybe for like a minute, you know, into the game, let betting be open and people can spend their WOOFCOIN, you know, betting on either player. So I think that'd be a lot of fun. And my wife said it's really not that hard to set up, so that's my goal before the next show, you guys. But anyways, enough rambling. Let us hop into match number 10 here. Oh, what'd I miss? B-Boop timed out old shady noodle merchant. Alright, spawning at the bottom, we've got Pingu. And his opponent up top, Jet Erickson. Jet's a pretty large member of the Tooth and Tail community, if you're unfamiliar with him. He's kind of in the back scenes of a lot of the tournaments that go on, doing tournament organization. He's a great caster, a friend of mine. Jet's been here since the beginning, man. So cool to see him still being involved in the scene. And Pingu is a newer player, but again, he's one of these guys kind of like a Big Pimpintosh or a Red Dinosaur that I've really got my eye on. You know, as a player that's newer, but, you know, they're trading blows and winning games against some of the older school legend-style players. So always kind of interested to see how their play evolves. And Pingu opening up very aggressive here, a 5-farm triple. Let's take a look at how Jet wants to respond here. He doesn't have turrets, you know, which are very helpful in these kinds of situations. And he went for that 8-farm opening, which is kind of to be expected. He's gonna try to hold... Oh, look at this, though. Pingu sold everything off after he got scouted. And he didn't build any farms, and he's got moles, so I'm thinking he's just saving up his money for, like, 7 moles here. Is that what we're seeing? There they are. He's getting dirty here. Okay. So he's just gonna leave the moles over there for the time being. I think what he did there was try to burrow it back to his moles, man. If you're in the chat, dude, you gotta own up to that one. I don't blame you. But that was awesome. Okay, so Jet kind of braced for impact. I'm sure Jet, no, Jet actually never re-scouted. So he's probably a little bit surprised that the attack didn't happen. And I think what Pingu is hoping for is that Jet, moves out on the map for a counter attack, and then Pingu rallies the moles in to try to sneak a cheesy win. But Jet's kind of foiling Pingu's plan here by not attacking. Jet's just hanging out, man. He's getting a skunk. He's probably gonna throw on some pigeons, and he's gonna move out here shortly. And by the time he's moved out, I mean, you gotta think, man, Pingu's had, 360 food wrapped up in moles this whole time, That could be anything else that's doing something for him. Could be Warrens, could be a badger, you get the idea. So the longer that Pingu just kind of holds this money, and I mean, especially in the early game like this, if this was later on, it may or may not be the biggest deal, but the fact that he's still alive is kind of curious to me, because food is so valuable in the early game. Like, the amount that food matters is like a graph that starts off very, very high and starts working its way down lower as the economies get larger. But that's not necessarily a strong rule of thumb in a game like Tooth and Tail. It certainly is in a game like StarCraft, where the economies start low and then they skyrocket up for most of the game. But Tooth and Tail is a lot different. The way that economies work, you can have mid games where power spikes and economy spikes happen, and it's like anything else. It's like inflation, basically. There's so much food in the game that each piece of wheat doesn't matter as much as it did when there was less food in the game. But a lot of times the mid and late games in Tooth and Tail don't really wind up like that. Oh, Jet sniffs it out. Very nice here for Jet. He'd had to have been scratching his head. He's a smart player. He knows that a lot of money here is missing for Pingu. And Pingu's got to go home with his tail between his legs, unfortunately. Hey, thanks for the follow, Commander Rude. I appreciate it, man. But yeah, so what I was going to say is that the value of wheat kind of inflates and deflates over time, because a lot of times we'll see later games, 7, 8, 10, 12 minutes in, where players are on 2 or 3 farms, and you just don't see that as much in other RTS games like StarCraft. So it's not as much of a hard graph or trend. But Jet is gonna push out, and Pingu just kind of starts rallying over at the right time. Jet realizes what's happening, though, and is gonna try to move his units over. I'm surprised Jet just didn't kind of take a gristmill to prevent this kind of thing, from happening, as Pingu just has too many moles here. It definitely happens. But if I want to be critical, Jet should have absolutely taken a gristmill or a campfire or something when he sniffed out that Pingu had so many moles. But maybe Jet felt like, now that the jig's up, Pingu won't actually go for it or something like that. Nice pickup there for Pingu. Match number 11. Let's get into it. Okay, spawning at the bottom, we've got KSR Division Commander, aka Gabany. Or what did he change his name to? Is he still Gabany? I don't even know, man. On the left, we've got Big Pimp and Tosh. Isn't it like Varera now or something? Alright, so Gabany rocking the Fox, and Tosh has got the Boar, which I always get hyped for these tier 3 units, but we may or may not even see them, so that doesn't really matter as much. But Gabany's got, I think, a little bit, well, it's hard to say, right? Oh, where's Gabany building that mole? How do I not see it? How do I not see it? It's somewhere. Oh, there it is. I'm blind. What's up, Master? So yeah, so Gabany a little bit of mole aggression here, but Gabany's got this squirrel mole skunk opening, which is very strong. But again, like I was saying earlier, man, you really can't. I I want to see more Lizard. I want to play more Lizard when I get the chance to play. I might be able to play a little bit this weekend. I'm so busy, you guys. Like, it's insane. I mean, I got home from work today around 6:30 my time, right? I start the show at 8, so I like exercised and then relaxed for like 10 minutes and started the show. Yeah, I don't get a whole lot of time to play video games anymore, which is unfortunate because I'm busy with work and projects that I'm in. And then normally when I do get the chance to play video games, I'm playing with my wife. We've been playing a lot of co-op stuff lately. It's been a lot of fun. We're almost done with Divinity Original Sin 2, so I'm super hyped about that. That game is a lot of fun to play with a friend. But yeah, nothing crazy yet. A little bit of mole shenanigans up front from Gabe and E. It was kind of no harm, no foul kind of situation, though. Both players going up to a lot of squirrels. Gabe and E looks like he wants to take a campfire, which is going to be nice. Tasha's already got one over to the right. Oh, did Dan make Divinity Master? How often does TNT replay maps? Because I don't know, like, it's probably random enough that you're never going to get the same exact map. You might get a map that looks similar on the gristmill layouts, but I'd highly doubt any map has been identical of another one, just the way that the random numbers operate with so many tiles. It's practically impossible. Close enough to it. Yeah. I could see like similar maps coming up that have like similar gristmill placement or frequency or just general layout, So Gabe and he's getting his fox, and I love it. Nice little spot to throw down a fox there. And it's really important for Tosh to scout this, and he's on the right path as he gets there. He actually scouted it when he ran up on the high ground, which was great for him. And did Gabe ever scout this top campfire? No, he hasn't. But yeah, that's one thing I was going to say earlier on. I never finished the point, but like, if you see a campfire like this on a map, dude, in my opinion, just take it. Like, for one, your opponent may not ever scout it, because it can be difficult to get a full survey of the map. It is incredibly important, man. There's a little window I can kind of explain later when you do have a pretty decent chance to scout the entire map and still know what your opponent's doing. Look at this lizard run by here from Tosh. Gonna knock that fox warren out immediately. Beautiful play here, but loses 9 lizards for it. That's gonna give Gabeney an opportunity to counterattack. So he needs to be careful. If I was Tosh, I'd probably be throwing down some clutch turrets or something like that. Losing those 9 lizards can be very difficult. But yeah, there's okay, so like your first scout, you go out on the map, right, and you kind of just trying to find your opponent's base and double check that they have a farm queued. And then your second scout, you can kind of get a little bit of surveying done, but you still need to get to your opponent's base pretty quickly. Maybe take a different route there or something, and try to determine if they're going for 8 farm or if they're going for some kind of aggression. And then the third scout is the one that people will sometimes neglect, which is incredibly important, because with your second scout, you kind of identify what opening they're going for. Your third scout confirms that they're going for that opening. And then your fourth scout out, you really do have an opportunity to basically scout the whole map for the most part. Tosh tries to take that warren again, but Gabeney's not going to be fooled twice. Puts that warren in a bit of a more defensible position, has his army ready to go, and that was a great attack, great victory there from Gabeney. He's going to push in, knowing that Tosh has bled out a lot of lizards essentially for free. These skunks getting a lot of work done, but is it going to be enough as the army for Gabeney starts to drop? These falcons are getting a lot of work done here for Tosh. One of them goes down, the other one goes down. Nice focus fire there from Gabeney, and he's going to try to back out and keep his tier 2 alive. I think Gabeney decided to disengage at the right time. Like, you could argue maybe he should have disengaged slightly earlier. He might have been able to keep that falcon alive, but the big point here, the big note to take is when Gabeney left was mainly when most of his tier 1 was gone. He was like, okay, this battle's over, and I want to try to make it away with as much tier 2 as I can, and he gets out of there with tier 2, which is very nice. Now the fox is here. It's going to be rough for Tosh. Lizards can do well against the fox, and he's got the boar as well. But the lizard pack has been deleted, and there's only the boar left, which the fox is going to have a field day with. Tashius really needs to rally back up a nice number of lizards and can really threaten this fox with that. Fox very low, but Gabany wants to knock out that boar. Doesn't quite get it. Tosh does have pigeons, but he hasn't built any. I suspect he'd probably want to throw down a couple at this point, as this boar will take 1 billion years to regenerate completely on its own. The number of times I've lost by taking a little detour during a crucial scouting trip. Oh yeah, it can happen. I think it's really that third scout that players will sometimes neglect that can really change the game. But yeah, the scout number 4, you have a very good opportunity to scout the entire map. You also do on scout number 1 as well. Really 1 and 4. Oh, look at that! Tosh takes out the fox, and with that, Gabany's gonna tap out. Well played there from Tosh. All right, match number 12, guys. And yeah, okay. So, let me go ahead and load up a couple more. These games are pretty short, aren't they, Mistria? I'm worried that the next patch might hit before Tuesday. Don't quote me on that. It's not like I have any insider information or anything. If I did, I wouldn't share it with you guys. Because if I shared it, then I wouldn't get the insider information anymore. No, I really don't. I have no idea when the patch is coming out, but it could be soon. I mean, you could submit games, Massa, if you wanted to see them casted, you know. Massa always makes me laugh. He's like, why aren't you casting any of my games? I'm like, because you don't submit them. Okay, all right, we're on match number 12, but we're making really good time here. We still got half an hour left. I almost skipped you, Frogo, but I corrected myself. And judging by the size of the replay, I think these 2 Amistria matches are pretty quick. And Swifty really wants me to show you guys this game that me and him played. I got the chance to squeeze in a match before the show started. It was a good match, man. I think it's worth showcasing. So, match number 12. All right, spawning in the bottom, we've got Pile. Tried to say spawning in the bile, we've got Potom. And his opponent to the right, Black Vegetable, aka Frogo. All right, we see badgers from both players here. We see identical decks from both players here. Really interesting. Both these decks are very, very powerful. So I don't think there's any shenanigans involved with this. I think it's just a ladder game, and both of them went. You know, it's a strong composition here. Squirrel Pigeon Skunk is a fantastic opener, and the pigeon, like, it's better to go Squirrel Pigeon Skunk when you have Badger, right? Because the Badger is going to synergize with the pigeon as well. You'll see guys do it with Squirrel Pigeon Owl, or I'm sorry, Squirrel Pigeon Skunk Owl, which is still fine, but the pigeon just doesn't really synergize well with the owl. But I still think it's okay to go Squirrel Pigeon Skunk Owl, though, because the pigeons really can make a big difference in the early Tier 2 wars, especially against units like skunks and snakes, which are pretty popular at the moment. So it makes sense. And Pile looks like going to rush straight up to a Tier 2. And players, you know, are starting to decide that this might be safer than one might think. But no, he changes his mind. Going to open up for a lot of Tier 1. And Frogo really hasn't seen what Pile has decided to do yet. And Frog went for 1 Tier 1 into a Tier 2, which is still a quick Tier 2. I think correct's the bad word to say. But I think, like, the proper Tier 2 opening timing is 2 Tier 1 into a Tier 2, if you want to be very safe about it. But there, especially more nowadays, you know, I would definitely entertain the argument of going tier 2 first, or one tier 1 into tier 2. You know, there's a lot of variety you can do with the openers here in the current meta. So either way, the big thing here is that both players went 8 farms, so they're gonna have an equal income, and Pyle is really just trying to get up tier 2 as fast as he can. Meanwhile, Frog put down a very quick 4. Pyle snagging this campfire over to the side and opening up with Skunk Falcon, which I don't think I've seen yet, to be honest. I don't think I've seen this build before. And Pyle is really just trying to go as low on tier 1 and low on squirrels as possible. I think there's a lot of really interesting juggling that Pyle's been doing with his Warrens during this early game. I don't want to kind of gloss over, you know, like he was building enough tier 1 to where he'd be safe, right? And now that he's coming in, he's identifying a turret, which, you know, a turret from a good player like Frog basically means a tier 3, but he sees that tier 3 anyway, so he knows what's going on. He knows he's perfectly safe with what he's doing, and he's gonna put this army composition to the test, it looks like. What? I don't understand why he sold off all those. Oh, I think he was selling off pigeons. It seemed like he was selling off squirrel warrens though, which is just resetting his scroll timing. I'm not so sure. Yeah, Frog's a good player, man. Used to trade blows with top guys back when you were more active. He wanted more warrants. Oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. Thanks for pointing that out. I should have realized that. I'm a little bit tired. I apologize. But yeah, the reason Pyle was doing that was he was basically just selling off his squirrels so he could plant a ton of warrants and spend his money while he's kind of out and about. And now Pyle is trying to find a sneaky angle to come in towards Froggo. He hasn't seen that Frog sold off those turrets. Those turrets were, I really love play like that, where you build the turrets just to kind of dissuade an attack or in a clutch situation. But Frog is gonna catch Pyle's army up here. A little bit of a misplay here from Pyle, and nice game sense from Frog, you know, jumping on top of this, capitalizing on the mistake. And with the Badger, Frog is just gonna absolutely wreck Pyle's army. I wouldn't even be surprised to see Pyle just go ahead and tap out from here. That was very devastating. Now, Frog did lose his skunks, but that's not the issue, man. The issue is the Badger. You know, Frog could lose everything else but the Badger, and he'd still probably be fine. So Pyle's really got to handle this Badger, and Falcons would have been good for it, but he just doesn't have them anymore. He's only got the one, and it is helping out. Look how fast this Badger's going down. 1 HP on the Badger, but it stays alive, and he's getting that pigeon healing and backing up. Frog doesn't even care about trying to shoot while moving, man. The #1 priority is keeping that Badger alive. And that's what I was talking about with the burst damage that Falcons can provide, man. Like, that was just one Falcon there, dude. If Pyle had both his Falcons, that Badger would have for sure went down. I won a game against Pyle in Tooth and Tail League, basically in that scenario where he got a fast Badger, I had some Falcons, and was able to DPS it down quickly. And that almost happened there for Pyle. He just had 1 Falcon instead of 2. All right, Pyle wants to keep the pressure on, man. He thinks with some good micro, he can stop this Badger. Pyle doing a great job focus firing down the tier 2, getting some skunk warrens, or skunk gas placed, and Pyle backs out, and Frog's gonna chase, try to get some value with this Badger, but the Badger really didn't do too much in that fight. You know, I think Pyle took a very effective engagement there, you know, for being down a tier 3, you know, especially one as powerful as the Badger in a straight up fight. So Pyle's moving in again, and keep in mind Pyle does have a campfire going, which is absolutely huge in low scrappy situations like this. I mean, that extra little bit of food, man, it makes a world of difference. It's not even little, like what, 300 food, right? I guess you gotta pay 60 for it, so 240 food. And now Froggo's got to downsize to be able to throw something down, stay in this game. Both players on minimal economies here. You know, 1 campfire versus no farms, a building farm. And Frog's gonna scout into Pyle's base, identify that Pyle doesn't really have a healthy economy himself. He's got to feel happy about that. Pyle's gonna move in again. if he can focus fire down this Badger, or even just enough of the rest of the army here from Frog, he'd be in great shape. But Frog is being a lot more upfront with the Badger this time around, which is definitely what you need to do. It's a fine balance of microing the Badger, man. You gotta, like, get him in there and do as much possible damage as you can until he's very, very low. Pull her, rather, until she's very low. Pull her back just in time. Oh, sometimes I forget the Badger's female. This Rambo Badger, man, is just so masculine. All right. We should get, like, a really cutesy Badger skin, man, with, like, a dress and a pink bow or something. That'd be adorable. All right, so again, Pyle's trying to position his army up top. Wants to catch Frog in a bad situation, and he's kind of downsized just to squirrels. He really wants to take a good engagement here. But with some nice micro, Frog should be able to clean up all these squirrels with this Badger, no problem. Ooh, but it's getting very low. 5 HP on the Badger. Very good control from both sides. Pyle might have been able to take that if just a couple more squirrels fired at the Badger rather than those pigeons, perhaps. Very nice attempt there from Pyle. Taps out, and Frog wins off the back of some good game sense and a nice timed tier 3 unit. I said the Badger looks masculine in the skin. Good game, gentlemen. At first, my first reaction to that was gentleman wasn't in that game. All right. Let's hop into. We made really good time tonight, guys. So a couple bonus replays I've got for you. A few Amistria games, and as long as these are pretty short, we might end the night on this match me and Swifty just played. I know he wanted me to comment on it. Okay, spawning at the bottom, we've got Amistria with that trademark barbed wire. I love it. Up top, Pingu. Okay, map looks a lot better for Pingu. You know, I want to see Amistria adapt to the map here, because it's a hard pill to swallow. Like with any competitive game, like I know it's not easy to do, man, but you really just gotta keep your cool. Pingu gonna try some mind shenanigans here, but Amistria gonna be on top of that. You know, like just any like thing that you're trying to grow and get better at. You know what I mean? Like you gotta stay level-headed. You want to try to prevent tilting. You don't want to. You know, if you lose the game, you don't want to blame the map. You don't want to blame the balance. You want to analyze it and say, okay, what could I have done better in this situation to win? And that's how you continue to grow and stuff. So the reason I'm kind of ranting on that is it is very important skills, man. That's one of the biggest things you can develop in video games that transition to other spots in your life. Like, try it, man. If you normally get ragey when you play competitive games and lose, like, really try to keep your cool, man, and start, you know, back off on the ego and really think about, okay, you know, why did I lose? It's not, you know, nobody likes a sore loser, you know what I mean? But anyways, the point I was trying to make with that is that if you're in Amistria's shoes, you very rightly would look at this map and just be like, okay, this sucks for me. This map is amazing for Pingu. Look at this. He's got high ground. He's got 4 bases here. And Amistria she can't expand anywhere. Like, she can expand over to the 3 o'clock, but that's incredibly risky. She gets the campfire to help her out, but, you know, Amistria's got to identify, okay, this map is not good for me. I need to adapt and improvise and come at my opponent with a powerful push or something, or contain them, or, you know, I can't just play business as usual and then, you know, QQ when I lose. And you know what I'm saying? Mine doesn't do too much there. Amistria doesn't even lose a squirrel. And yeah, exactly that. She's gonna push out. She knows this map is not good for her. So she responded by building that shoulder check composition, man. Just a lot of squirrels. Like, okay, if you're doing anything weird, you're gonna get punished. And Pingu is doing a little bit of weird. It's not even really weird. He just built a ferret. Now she's got to target fire down these toads. One toad gets an engage connection, but the other toad does get target fired down. Nicely done there by Amicia. So Amicia is going to keep the aggression on. Another decent toad hit there from Pingu. Ooh, but if Amicia gets a ferret, that's a big deal. Nicely done. It can be rough in these situations where it's squirrel versus squirrel toad, but you know, in low numbers like this, you can focus fire. But when the numbers are this low, you might not even kill the toad before, you know, even if you do focus fire. But you know, if it's only a couple squirrels in that situation, then the toad's not going to get a ton of value anyways, you know what I mean? So the skunks are here for Amicia, and she's going to keep this pressure on. That toad does a good job there detonating on that skunk, knocking it out. But Amicia has been very on top of her target fire here, continues to knock out these ferrets, and keep the pressure up. This is exactly what I was talking about, man. You know, Amicia identified, I've got to play aggressive this game, and try to end it right here, right now, or if I don't end it, at least do enough damage where I contain my opponent, because if Amicia can kind of claim this high ground for being aggressive and not necessarily winning, needs to be careful, 1 HP, the commander goes down, but a little bit lucky there for Amicia as Pingu decides that the tipping point happened right at that same time. But Amicia doesn't even necessarily have to win the game there. She just has to claim the map, because as you saw, she had that gristmill, and you know, all of a sudden you can kind of flip the map on your opponent's face and start taking farms where, you know, on paper you think it belonged to your opponent. Okay, let's hop into another Amicia game. Another win thanks to the superiority of barbed wire. That's right. Spawning in the bottom without barbed wire. Amicia, how dare you? And her opponent up top, Raucous Bacchus. Alright, we see badgers from both players here, as well as the skunk ferret. Now, Amicia just rocking lizards. It's a little bit of a gamble, especially with how prevalent toads are currently in the meta. I think after the next balance patch, where squirrels will be a bit more microable, they'll retreat a little better. We'll probably see toads' popularity go down a little bit, but I don't think that's going to be enough to completely stop the toads' magodes. So, in general, it is you're taking a risk when you just run lizards, and the reason is you don't have squirrels to tech switch out of. Lizards, if you identify your opponent, is just building a lot of toads. Hey, thanks for the follow, laggy newbie. Oh, Amicia's got a random deck. Okay. Or did you pick, like, pieces of it and the computer finished it? Alright, I love it, man. Amicia rocking a random deck here. And this map is absolutely bonkers. It looks better for Amicia, certainly. You know, now she's in this position. See, this is what I'm talking about, man. Like, the last game, yeah, the map didn't look that great for Amicia, but she still played it well. She kept her cool, and she won. And now she's in a situation where the map does look good for her. So now the tables have turned. Now it's really on Raucous to have to formulate and make a play, where Amicia can just hang back and, you know, will eventually win the game with a better economy. But Raucous isn't totally down and out. He does have a couple campfires, which are going to be great for any kind of one-base style. You know, and he also kind of, sort of can take this gristmill over here. It's a bit risky, but he does have lizards. Nice engagement here for Raucous. Definitely gets the better end of that. And, gonna try to take out this gristmill. 3 lizards are not DPSing it very fast, but they'll eventually get it. And Amicia is just gonna let it go. Raucous even went home to macro up here. He's floating a lot of food. I was hoping to see a badger, but gonna play it more traditionally here. Just get more and more lizards. Ooh, and his lizard stayed a little bit too long. Nice pickup there from Amicia, knocking those out. This is what's always crazy about lizards, man. Because you could just get stuck in this lizard versus lizard situation where it's hard to tech out of it because you don't want to be the player with 12 lizards against 24 or something, you know? So both players are kind of incentivized to continue building lizards at this point, unless they had like a hard counter, you know, Circa Toe or Toad or, yeah, Barbed Wire, Mistria. But it's not her fault. She got a random deck. Spent too long grabbing a drink or changing music or something. Artillery cannon getting established here for Mistria, and I don't hate it. You know, like I was saying earlier, if Mistria can secure this position, secure these 4 bases, she's in a phenomenal spot. It's really up to Raucus to make a move. So doing something like investing in her artillery cannon is not the worst thing in the world at this point, but you got to really justify it by booming up that economy on the back of it very hard. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to invest in the defense, then you got to invest in the macro behind it as well. But it's tough, too, because then, you know, your army's even smaller. But yeah, I think Mistria is taking these farms at a good rate. But I am a little bit worried, because Raucus could wise up and, you know, attack in through the water, amphibious strike, you know, and hit the main base or something like that. But then he would trigger a base race scenario, and 12 lizards is probably enough to at least compete in that kind of realm. So Mistria is trying to keep her commander forward to grant that artillery cannon additional vision, as the artillery cannon has longer range than it does vision, which I think is a pretty cool concept. Kind of need spotter units and stuff to get the most value out of it. You know, Raucus is going to move in here with the superior lizard count, but not by a whole lot, and overall they kind of trade lizards tit for tat there. That artillery cannon helping out Mistria, but both players have ferrets. Raucus is going up to 4, though. I love it. I don't get to do it that often, but I just love when I have like 4 ferrets or 6 ferrets or something like that. Why 4 ferrets, this frog? I mean, why not? You know what I'm saying? Ooh, that one ferret getting pretty low. But if Mistria can keep the pressure on and make Raucus very, very shy and apprehensive about macroing up on this base as it's constantly under siege, you know, she's just going to be in a better and better spot. You do got to keep in mind he does have these 2 campfires burning, so, you know, add a couple extra farms to his count, and he's pretty close, although 2 of these farms are not yet done. Ooh, needs to be careful. A couple of those ferrets almost dying there. Skunk's moving in, trading more and more tier 1. Okay, kind of a little bit of a no man's land here. Lots of shelling from both sides. You know, and 4 ferrets is difficult to justify, but, you know, the more and more pop shots you take with 4 ferrets, you can get some crazy, crazy damage done. But Mistria is going to come in here, break the opponent's back, manages to take out several of those ferrets. The artillery cannon certainly helping out, as well as the skunk gas against the tier 1. That's a very crippling blow if she can get this gristmill. It's so low, though, it doesn't matter anyway. She'll get it later if she didn't get it just then, but it goes down. That puts Raucus' economy back into the dumps here. And now it might just become a game of numbers, and Raucus realizes this. He's going to try to do a one last stand kind of move. He's probably aware of the fact that his army, you know, isn't really that great at this moment, but he also knows if this is his best opportunity, right? Because it's just going to get worse from here. Gives it a shot. Loses all his ferrets. I imagine he'll tap out. Well played from Mistria. Okay, guys. I don't normally do it, but I will stream a game of me versus Swifty. Cast a game, I should say. So let's take a look at it. I was like, of course. See, I don't get to play a lot, so this is the first game I've played in several days, and I was like, of course it's against Swifty. But no, it's good, man. I like playing against high-level players. It makes me better. All right, spawning on the left, we've got Swifty. and his opponent to the right, Delthius. Me. I was kind of hesitant about using this deck against Swifty because I knew that he'd know that I was using the Fox, but I've been trying to figure out ways to deal with decks that are good against the Fox, you know, just to improve my play. Like, if that makes sense, like, I walked into this match thinking, like, go ahead and counter me. You know, I want to practice against Owl play and that kind of stuff, but you never know. I considered teching out of it, but overall, it's just a deck that I really enjoy to play. If I don't have a whole lot of time, if I'm like squeezing in 1 or 2 rounds, you know, then this is normally my go-to deck. When I actually get the chance to sit down and play like 2, 3, 4 hours or something, then I'll change it up more often. So nothing crazy so far. The map, it looks kind of better for me, but it's not terrible for Swifty either. He's got access to his second base, and he does get the high ground here, which is nice, but I do have access here to 4 bases that are pretty easy. So that is a thing indeed. What are you talking about, Frog? Dude, I don't think it's even arguable. Like, the Fox has more counters than anything else in the game, like by a lot, right? Because every single defense, Lizard, Snake, Owl, Wolf. Yep, that's a lot. It's a lot of units. All right, so I identified that Swifty was trying to rush straight up to a tier 2 Warren, and I decided, hey, that's greedy. I'm going to try to come in and punish him, at least try to get a pig. So let's see if I can get anything done. Oop, okay. So I'm going to get a pig. I lose 1 squirrel, 2 squirrels. Oh, 2 squirrels there, and then 3, yeah, and then a 4th one on the way out. So I only killed 1 of his squirrels, but I got a pig, and I lost 4 squirrels for it as that snake got out and got some good poison damage done. So I built the turret there in anticipation of snake harassment. I just didn't want Swifty to be able to come in very, very easily and start poking down my Warrens, poking down a squirrel or 2. It was a difficult decision to make. I'm not so sure if it was the right play, as that turret money could have been elsewhere, but it's what I decided to do. And I want to try to get a fast economy going as well, because I realize, you know, I do have better access to an economy than Swifty does in this current situation. So the game is going to progress. Swifty went for a very hardcore tier 2 opening, getting up maybe arguably the strongest or most meta tier 2 in the game at the moment, Snake and Skunk. Meanwhile, I'm going with Ferret because I like ferrets. And I sell off the turret because I'm like, okay, at this point, he hasn't been doing a lot of Snake micro. Maybe I'll throw a turret back up later, but I want to spend my money on getting my farm going. And now that I have a Ferret here, I can start throwing in some harassment of my own and try to keep the Snake harassment at bay by forcing him to have to micro against this Ferret here. So the Ferret harassment begins. I'm trying to be cognitive of my commander here. One thing snakes are very good at is killing your commander very quickly, and then in situations like that, your tier 2 could go down very fast as well. I decide to try to sneak out a Fox, as I've identified that you know, Swifty doesn't have a super powerful army where he could just come in and break me. You know, I didn't get a very fast Fox. It's just kind of a well-timed Fox, and that Swifty's also building economy, so he's not trying to go for any kind of one base all in. And we're just going to kind of continue the Snake Ferret dance, and I'm really not looking for damage here with the Ferrets. I mean, it'd be nice if I pick up a kill or 2. The big thing I'm trying to do here is stop this Snake harassment from really doing much. Like, trying to keep the Snake back. Great insight into the thoughts of the red player. What's the yellow player do? See, this is why I don't cast my own games, man. It's weird. It's weird casting my own games. Turrets aren't good against snakes. Somebody says, yeah, I mean, yes and no. I mean, the turrets do their job of forcing the snake back, and the snakes are just getting poison stacks onto the turrets, which, like, yeah, in this situation, he's finally going to get the turret kill, but that's the first turret that he's actually gotten. as opposed to him getting those snake hits onto tier 1, which will immediately kill it. So really, as long as Swifty wouldn't have killed less than 3 tier 1, which I'm sure he would if the turrets didn't exist, then I'd say that they're worth it. So Swifty got very, very quick owls here, which I wasn't aware of, because this is a situation where it's very hard to scout. Swifty hasn't scouted my tier 3, I haven't scouted his. And Swifty's also been a bit more on top of his farms than I have. He shot straight up to a full second base economy. Meanwhile, my economy is a little bit behind. I think that's, I get a snake kill there, which is nice. So this is really risky micro here, snake versus fox, but trying to stay on top of it, not lose the fox. And I realized I got to throw down some warrens, but it's really difficult for me to leave this front line because I don't want these snakes to be able to come walk in and just tag a tier 1 and get value. I get a pick up there. It's very nice for me. I see that the owl's out. I immediately try to transition out of toads. I couldn't find the other warren, and it's funny because it's right there. Because I knew I had 3 toads left. I was just like, where is that warren? So I don't think this is an unwinnable position from my spot, but it is certainly difficult. I think if you can contain your opponent and get a better economy, build a lot of turrets, you can stop this owl-style play with a fox. Dude, Premium Bow just hates on the fox, man. I can never catch a break. So I tried to take a third base. I took it up there mainly for the proximity to the fight, because it's just really difficult for me to leave this fight. And Swifty does something very smart here. He's simply just going around my defense. I think I made a mistake of not building turrets up here on the high ground. And we're gonna go into a trade at the moment. Looks like our tier 2 is staying alive, and you know, his mice didn't do a ton of damage there, and I felt pretty confident to move in. But really, the big rock stars in this engagement are all those skunks. I do manage to take out a skunk there with my ferrets and push Swifty back. But yeah, I mean, if you look at army graphs, we're still pretty even. I think the big issue here, though, is that my economy isn't stronger, and because he is just going to trade very effectively with these owls over time. You know, I'm trying to do the best I can to micro this fox, keep it alive. You know, regardless of what P-Boop says, fox versus snake is very, very risky, as you can see right there. You know, if snakes even get a couple stacks of poison onto a fox, it can kill it. But Swifty doing some very good play here and running around to my undefended side and is going to knock out my base. And I kind of realized at this point that I'm just not in a position to take that engagement. That last battle did not go very well for me. I think trying to go up to 4 ferrets was a bit of a mistake, but this is my first game in a few days. I'm a little bit rusty. So I realize we're kind of in a base race situation, trying to get some counter damage done. But Swifty just gotten too much done at this point. His army's going to knock my structures out faster than I can knock his out. Plus, he also grabbed this campfire earlier, so even if I was able to get in there and take out that gristmill, I'd have no chance. So I decided to just try to engage, but I knew the game was over from here. I think the big mistake I made was not throwing up more turrets and not having a faster 3 base. And GG, Swifty takes the match. Alright guys, that is it for the show. Take care, everybody. It's always a pleasure. Again, I'm hoping to get my currency situated over the weekend. So hopefully on Tuesday we can start betting with some WOOFCOINs. Dude, chat is all Kermit. Dude, it's just Kermit yelling at me and saying Fox is OP or something. I think Fox is pretty balanced. I think it's strong, but I don't think it's OP. There's a lot of ways you could deal with a fox. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. It was a good time. I enjoyed the show. I would keep going, but I gotta wake up really early. What are you wowing about, Master Stealth? All right, let's find somebody to host here. That was fun. We had some good matches tonight, man. A game against Pingu put me over 700 for the first time ever. Nice. Let us go say hi to my wife, Aroni. Oh, what? Did you just now send a replay? Oh. Oh, yeah, I've got last minute submissions from a few people here. But yeah, I can't get to it, guys. I gotta get going to bed. Yeah, I've got 3 last minutes replays. Well, Andy escapes. Worst still ever. Yeah. Oh god. We will get to you guys when I can, my man. I guess it means it's a good show. If I do 2 hours and everybody's QQing, I won't do a few more. Anyways, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in and continuing to keep this thing alive with me, man. It's a lot of fun. If I get the chance, I might stream some ranked or something over the weekend. But yeah, that's it. Let's get the hosts going. Have your wife cast them. Man. What should we say? What should we say in the raid, you guys? Should we woof her? Give her the old woof. Ow! I don't know. Yeah, maybe... I don't know, maybe Saturday or Sunday. Might be able to do a little bonus streaming. We'll see. We'll see, guys. No promises. Take care, everybody. I will see y'all next time.